Hey there, we're Shannon and Jerry Arner, your hosts of the Arner Adventures podcast.
We're a minimalist couple driven by intentional living and adventure.
Burned out from the 24/7 grind of running our business, we traded the hustle and the bustle for something more meaningful.
We parted ways with most of our belongings and moved to the coast.
Listen along as we chat about life's challenges, share inspiring stories of those who have taken big leaps to live a life outside of the norm,
and help you live with more intention and less physical and mental clutter.
Each episode is a step toward doing and being just a little bit better for ourselves and the world around us.
Life's an adventure after all. Join us for the ride.
It's the Arner Adventures podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Shannon.
And this is Jerry.
And we are back for episode 184 of the Arner Adventures podcast.
Yes, we are. And today we're going to be talking about saying yes.
Yeah, we've done a number of episodes where we have talked about boundaries and saying no, how to say no gracefully, all the different ways that you can feel comfortable and being confident and okay with saying no, because a lot of us have difficulty doing that, right?
Right.
So we thought what we would do is let you know we do say yes here and there.
We do.
But there are some rules, some things that we have in place, like almost like a checklist for saying yes. And so we just want to go through that, and hopefully it'll be something that helps you stick to your boundaries and have sort of your own little rules list of when to say yes. Like it has to meet these requirements,
Yeah, there definitely has to be some boundaries there, some requirements, and there's certain things, and for the kids out there, certain things you should always say no to. Just say no to drugs, for instance, kids. But we're going off in a different direction here, and we're going to tell you when it's appropriate to say yes, but we're going to tell you about how we work our way through that, how we navigate through the saying yes.
And before we get there, we just want to remind you that if you could please do us a solid and leave us a 5-star review or rating in the platform you're listening to us on, we would greatly appreciate it. It really helps us to keep the momentum. It helps deliver our content to people who may be interested in it. It's just a really great way of supporting the podcast. Real talk, gift giving can be a nightmare. You either guess wrong, panic buy something weird, or end up sending a gift card that feels like a corporate apology.
Or you just scroll Amazon and hope for divine inspiration. Spoiler, doesn't work.
Which is why we're officially obsessed with Sugar Wish. It's the easiest, most genius gift. You send the link, they pick the goodies, dunzo.
Candy, cookies, popcorn, wine. They even have dog treats, which, yes, Rue and B got.
Rue and B were like, wait a minute, we thought getting adopted was peak? Then Sugar Wish happened where we get to pick out our own gift? Yes.
It's sustainable, fun, and 0% chance of ending up in a landfill or the awkward returns pile.
Head to sugarwish.com, use code ADVENTURES10, and save 10% off on the easiest gift you'll ever send.
Seriously, we sent one while we were recording this podcast. It's that easy.
Again, sugarwish.com, code ADVENTURES10. Gifting handled, treats chosen, Rue and B spoiled as it should be.
That's right. You couldn't have said it better. So after years of saying yes out of obligation, FOMO, which is an acronym for fear of missing out.
In case you all didn't know out there.
I'm coming up to speed on some things that the kids know, and I'm been out of touch with a certain thing or two. Or to avoid saying yes out, to avoid disappointing people, we realize something. Protecting our time isn't just about learning how to say no better.
That's right. It like you were saying, it did feel like for a long time we were just saying yes because we didn't want to disappoint anybody. And we felt like, if I don't do this, is it okay? Is my business going to miss out?
Right.
Am I going to miss out? Like whatever the situation is. So yeah, this is really about getting clear on what's worth a yes.
Yeah, it is. It's because if you say yes in rapid succession, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. It's not about turning people down. It's about what makes something a genuine yes for us now, and how we've shifted our mindset to align with our values of freedom, peace, and intention.
Yep. So again, we've previously talked about mastering the art of saying no. There's a link to that in the show notes. So when do we, the Arners, say yes? Well, let's get through our yes checklist, our rules for saying yes.
Yes, okay. Jer, would you like a beer? Yes. Okay.
Shannon, would you like an Aperol Spritz? Always a yes.
Okay, we are embellishing a little bit. Let's get to the actual list.
Yeah.
Before we say yes, we pause and check in. A yes has to meet at least a few of these.
So the first one, it has to align with our values. So intentional living, mental wellness, simplicity, connection. Does it align with our lifestyle?
Are we genuinely excited, not just saying yes to be polite or avoid guilt?
Yeah. Does it fit into our life rhythm? Not something that we have to force or squeeze in. Because here's the thing, if it's a yes, if someone asks us to do something that was unplanned, it's a yes. It really is also about, okay, can we fit it into our schedule? Is it worth moving things around? Because sometimes you feel like, oh my God, now I've got to move this around. I don't even want to go. I don't even want to do this. We are not doing that. It has to fit into the rhythm of our lifestyle and our calendar.
Yeah, and we've learned that when you disrupt the rhythm of the day, I mean, it's more than just that time you took out for whatever it was that disrupted it. It can really mess up your flow for the whole day and slow things down that you wanted to get done.
It really does.
Yeah. Does it lead to growth, joy, or a memory that we'll want to keep?
Yeah. So we recently went kayaking, and it was during the week. And it was a day that we had planned for. It was something we really wanted to do. Is it normal for us to just take a day in the week and go kayaking? No. But this was important to us, and we said, you know what? Let's carve everything out. It is going to be a memory that we're going to want to keep. It is worth shifting things around. It's worth getting out of our normal schedule because we decided it was important enough. So it was a definite yes.
A definite yes. We've learned that just because we can say yes doesn't mean that we should. Time is the one thing we don't get back, so now we spend it on things that matter to us.
Yeah, life is short.
Yeah.
So saying yes can still be hard, and that's okay, especially if you're someone like we've talked about who has worked really hard on protecting your boundaries. I mean, we have been in just this really great momentum for the past couple of years of protecting our boundaries. So now saying yes can kind of be hard, where it was so easy before.
Yeah.
So sometimes even when something feels aligned, we will still hesitate because, of our people-pleasing habits, guilt, or, worrying about what others will still think that we can sneak in. If we say yes to this, does that mean that they're going to ask again later? Or we're going to get back into this rut again?
Yeah.
We've started checking in with one question that always clarifies things, and that's, will we feel more like ourselves afterwards or less? So how you'll say, or we say, or one says, oh, you never regret travel. Or, at the end of your life, you never regret travel. So we kind of feel the way about experiences too, like afterwards, are we going to regret that we did that?
Yeah.
And that does happen. Like there are some things that we go, Jerry and I are really people who will make plans and then we don't want to do them, even though we thought it was really important to do. And then you do them and then you go, oh, I'm so glad I did that. So this is different. This is one of those things that you go, I really wish I wouldn't have carved out my day to go do that thing I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Or to make time for this thing I didn't want to do. And you do regret it. So if it adds to our sense of self, it's usually a yes. If it, chips away at it, that's sort of a no in disguise.
Yeah, that's right. What we've said yes to that really felt right. That's what we were leading up to there. So here are a few yes moments that stood out. A spontaneous road trip that wasn't work related at all. No content, no agenda, just good, clean fun. It reminded us why we started living this way in the first place.
Yeah. Another one can be, not everyone can relate to this, but you probably can if even with work, but like for us, a brand collaboration that didn't pay the most, but it deeply aligned with our mission. So, the content felt natural, not forced. This can be, sometimes there can be an animal rights activist group, or it can be mental wellness, things that were like, yeah, okay, this one isn't going to pay well, sometimes not pay at all.
Yeah.
But is it something that we should say yes to because it is aligned with our values?
That's right. Yeah. And saying yes to ourselves when we needed a day off. And everybody, should do that at times, even if it meant shifting a deadline. Because sometimes some things are more important than that deadline. Deadlines can be shifted, y'all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those yeses, like like the ones we just mentioned, fill our cup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference with a yes that makes you feel really good and then a yes that later you regret.
That's right. So, learn to pause before saying yes. We used to give quick yeses to avoid awkwardness or appear agreeable. Now we often say, let us think about it and get back to you.
Yeah, that kind of leads us back to the saying no or to
Yeah.
keeping your boundaries. If you're not comfortable with the sentence, the one-word sentence no, then you can always say, you know what, I do have to think about that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get back to you on it.
Yeah.
And then you can avoid that awkwardness if it is awkward to you to do that.
Well, yeah, and a lot of times things sound really good, but when you give time to think and put them in a bigger scheme of things, they might not be a good decision.
Yeah, and that tiny pause creates space to breathe, reflect, and then, you can ask yourself when you get home or you get away, is this a yes for us or are we meeting someone else's expectations?
Yeah. Are we saying yes to avoid discomfort or because this is something we're lit up about?
Or are we just afraid of what they're going to think if we say no?
The pause is underrated. The pause is powerful.
It really is. Just taking a beat, asking yourself, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
And, this sounds really complicated. It's like, oh my God, there's all these steps before I can say yes. No, it's really just about taking that pause.
Yeah.
Because if you take the pause and you give yourself some time before you say yes or before you say no, you'll make the best decision for yourself.
You will. Yeah, and sometimes things can just look so appealing, but when you put them in the big scheme of things and,
Totally.
Yeah, and you'll say, well, anyway, my analogy didn't come through, but I think we know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
So saying yes is its kind of boundary. We used to think boundaries were only about saying no. However, we have learned that values-driven yes is also a boundary, and it's a way of declaring, this is what matters. This is where we're going, and this is how we want to live.
Yeah. We're not antisocial. That's not what we're trying to say here, or anti-opportunity. We are becoming pro-intention, and that's what all of this is about.
Yeah, that's right. So saying yes creates more of what we actually want. We've noticed that the more we say yes to the right things, things that align with who we are and how we want to feel, the more those kinds of opportunities appear.
That is so true. So the more, it's like you're putting out into the universe, more of this, please. Like, I said yes to this, and I'm so glad I did that. More of those opportunities, please. It's like you start putting out the yeses that you really want.
That's right. In general, unless it sends an asteroid at your house, in general, the universe will send you some good vibes.
Yeah.
So that kind of clarity creates momentum, and honestly, it makes decision-making a lot easier.
It does. We don't second guess as much anymore. Now, look, we still take a beat.
Yeah.
And now it's like, instead of saying yes, I say, sometimes I'll even say to Jared when he gets home, so look, I was asked to do this today, and at first I was like, I really think I should, but now I'm just like, am I going to regret that?
Yeah.
And then you talk about it. And then it's like, yeah, I don't want to second guess this. Go with your gut, which is another episode we talked about.
That's right.
We know we're starting to at least know more about what feels aligned. We trust that feeling. And that is the real win, right?
That is. Yeah. Your days are involved with a lot of intricate moments that if you offset them, it can offset more than just that day. So it's like, did that make sense?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Because, so anyway, I think that all wraps in there with the idea of learning when to say yes.
And just remember, at the end of the day, all of this is about that pause. Sometimes even if if someone asks you want to do something and your gut is telling you yes or your gut is telling you no, just feel comfortable with that pause. It's even if it's a maybe, you're just not sure, just take a beat and discuss it, think amongst yourself, whatever, until it does become clear about if you want to do this or not. You shouldn't worry so much about if someone's going to get upset. If your decision is about if someone's going to get upset, you automatically should just not be doing it. You shouldn't make decisions in life. And we've learned this the hard way about not doing things just because it's going to make someone upset. Because is that even fair that they're putting that on you anyway? You know,
Yeah.
it's not.
Mm-mm.
But, all these resources about boundaries, FOMO, if you say no, all of these things we have linked in the show notes. And, this is just another one of those episodes that we have these discussions and we think, you know what, we should talk about that because it might be helpful. So we hope that this episode is something that is helpful for you. And if it's something that you think could help someone else, maybe forward it to them, share it.
Definitely do that. And now, for everybody out there and right here in the room, it's time to say yes to a beer and an Aperol Spritz.
That's right.
If this episode resonated with you, or if you know of someone who would benefit from what we talked about, please share it with a friend.
It's a great way of supporting the podcast, and we really appreciate it.
Another way of supporting the pod is by leaving us a 5-star review or rating on the platform you are listening to us on.
And go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That also supports us. You can always find us, the show notes, and sponsors who support the podcast at arneradventures.com.
And until next time, enjoy the journey you're on. We're wishing you lots of adventures.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.